beast ate them. He ate them bone and all.
Welcome once again, my fellow manipulators of digital fate. I'm Richie, this is Capricorn, and today's deck is kind of nuts. This one's called Bronco Bones, and the idea here is we're taking the Caustic Bronco Shadow of Mortality combo deck that we saw a few weeks ago from the Pro Tour, that everyone was really high on at the time, and we're trying to refine it by cross-pollinating the synergies with Skeleton Tribal, of all things. It sounds like they're two opposite things trying to do two very, very different things, but I promise you, they synergize together super, super well, and you get a really crazy Plan B win con game plan out of this that's just kind of nuts, and I kind of love it. And I think this might be, knock on wood, this might be the best version of this deck. So we're going to break it down. Before we do, please make sure you like the video. It's you guys that are liking each time that are helping this channel to grow so fast, and I appreciate it so much. So to you guys that have been liking the videos the whole time, thank you, thank you, thank you. It means the world. If you haven't liked the video, hit the damn button. Also, subscribe if you're new, because we've got tons coming. Early access for Modern Horizons 3 is happening at the time of posting this video tomorrow. So if you're interested in that, we're doing an 18-hour marathon stream. I'm not going to sleep. We're going to do the entire thing, the entire time the server's open, from 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday, June 5th, all the way up until 3 a.m. after midnight. It's going to be absolutely wild. If you're a channel member, I will play whatever deck you want me to play until it loses, and if it gets at least 3 wins, I'll turn it into a YouTube deck tech, put it up on the YouTube, shout you out for submitting the deck, and it should be a good time. So if you're interested in that, make sure to show up. It's going to be a crazy, crazy day. That's happening over on Twitch, twitch.tv/quarantinecapricorn, because if I'm alive and I'm breathing, I'm there and I'm streaming. Become a channel member, show up for early access, and also play this deck on ranked and make it to mythic, because that's a thing you can do. Let's check out the deck. Alright, so the idea here is really, really simple. I love the idea of using Caustic Bronco to combo out with some of the cards that people have already been using it with, but I found the 2-drop slot lacking. If you didn't have Caustic Bronco on 2, then the other options for playing things on 2 in some of the Bronco combo decks we've seen have been kind of lackluster, and I felt like your curve as a whole was not great unless you had the Bronco on 2. So I thought, how do we fix that while still capitalizing on the strengths of the Bronco and the Bronco synergy, and keeping all of the cards in the deck things that will synergize with the Bronco and will sort of, you know, push those combos to the top. And the idea here is we're using Skeleton Tribal because we've got Corpses of the Lost that can come down on 3 and create a 3-power creature that can saddle the Bronco so that you can still do the things you want to do, but this gives us access to much, much better 2-drops. We'll get into that in just a bit. First of all, let's go over the combo for those of you who don't understand it yet. We've got Caustic Bronco, 2 mana, 2/2. It saddles for 3. When it swings, you reveal the top card of your library and put it into your hand. You lose life equal to its mana value if it wasn't saddled, but if you have saddled the Caustic Bronco, instead your opponent loses that much life. So the combo here is if we can get a Shadow of Mortality onto the top of our deck, that thing costs a whopping 15 mana. We swing, we activate the Bronco, and if the Bronco is saddled, our opponent will just lose 15 life if this was on the top of our deck, if we can guarantee that we hit this. And a lot of times we just close out the game that way before it even matters if they block our Bronco or not, because a lot of times they can block the Bronco. But we can put that on top with Insatiable Avarice. 1 black mana, sorcery spree for an extra 2 colorless. You search your library for a card, shuffle, and then put that card on top. So that's a way for 3 mana. Before we saddle and swing with the Bronco, we just find our Shadow of Mortality and stick it on top so that we can pretty much auto win as long as we've gotten our opponent to, 15 or less life. Now, what's awesome about Avarice is it has another mode. For an additional 2 black mana, target player draws 3 cards and loses 3 life. So not only could we theoretically gas up with this card if we need to, if we don't have the Bronco combo online, but it's another possibility of a kill condition, a kill combo if you will, if we have Sheoldred. So if Sheoldred's in play, 4 mana 4/5 Death Touch, whenever they draw a card, they're going to lose 2 life. So with Sheoldred in play, Insatiable Avarice can be used with its second mode to target the opponent, make them draw 3 and lose 3. So not only do they lose the initial 3 here, but because Sheoldred makes them lose 2 whenever they draw a card, they'll lose an extra 6 life when they draw those 3 cards. So this will effectively, for 3 mana, make our opponent lose 9 life all in one go if we have a Sheoldred. So the fact that we can combo the Avarice with the Sheoldred or with the Caustic Bronco is what makes like the core of this deck and the version of this deck that you've probably seen on the ladder already so good. Because there's multiple ways to just really abuse the Avarice regardless of what your situation is. But this deck takes it a step further. First of all, I do want to point out we are running 4 copies of Steel Seraph. It's one of the only white cards in the deck, and it is good enough to just run white for regardless. The reason why this card is so good in this deck is because for prototype 2 white and 1, it can come down as a 3/3, so it has that 3 power on turn 3 that you need to saddle the Bronco. But then it can also, at the beginning of combat, give any creature you control flying, vigilance, or lifelink until end of turn. So what the Steel Seraph does is, with just 1 card on turn 3, it allows you to both saddle the Bronco so that it can swing in and trigger the ability and make the opponent lose life and make it so you don't lose life, while also giving the Bronco flying so that your opponent can't just block and kill the Bronco, which is super important. So it's one of the only 3 drops we can play on curve that's going to both saddle the Bronco and give it evasion so that we don't have to worry about it dying in combat. So Steel Seraph, super important. We're absolutely going to run white for it. We're going to run the full play set. That being said, like I said at the beginning of the deck tech, I really didn't like the 2 drops that were being used in that version of the deck that was being run already, and I wanted to try to find a new twist on this deck, and I think Skeletons is the answer. Because if we are in Skeletons, we can run Case of the Stash Skeleton as a 2-drop. Comes onto the battlefield, makes a 2/1 skeleton token with Menace, and then if they ever kill that, or if it just dies in combat or whatever, the case becomes solved and turns into another tutor. So the fact that we have access to another playset of tutors in our combo deck that has a few different combos to just win the game on the spot is going to be really effective, because sometimes later in the game we could just use this to get the exact card we need, even if it's not on curve, even if it's not as fast as some of the other combos. Just having more tutors, more ways to enable whatever combo we're closest to enabling is just really good. The problem is we need to make sure that that first ability of the card doesn't go to waste, because if we're just getting a tutor later in the game and nothing right now, it's not going to be great. But because we are hybridizing this deck with Skeletons, we can actually make that 2/1 token really good. If we play Corpses of the Lost on 3, again, it creates a 3-power creature that can crew, or rather saddle the Bronco, but it's also going to buff up the skeleton from Case of the Stash Skeleton as a 3-power menace attacker, which is really good for 2. So a lot of times this deck can not only get to a bunch of combos to win, but it can just win really aggressively with its skeleton tribal theme, just curving with insanity. So I like that this version just gives us better 2-drops and gives us a way to be aggressive in a situation where we don't have the Caustic Bronco. So we're going to start at the bottom of the curve here. We're going to talk about the rest of the deck. First of all, we've got 1 copy of Skrelv. This is the other white card. I think it's good enough as a 1-of. It's legendary. I didn't want to go crazy and add too many, but if you can get 1 of these down on 1 and use it to protect your Bronco, use it to protect your Sheoldred later on, it can be really devastating for the opponent if they can't get rid of the thing that's just going to grind them into dust. We've also got 4 copies of Cut Down so that we can efficiently remove threats if we don't happen to have the evasion from Steel Seraph. This gives us a way for just 1 mana, which is a little bit easier to slot into our curve, to just deal with the thing that might want to block our Caustic Bronco if we're not able to give it that flying from Steel Seraph. So we're running the full playset of that just because it's the cheapest black removal, and it's going to be the best option here for us. We're running 1 Tinybones to pickpocket. I was thinking about, honestly, bumping this up to like 3 copies, but I think we're good just sticking to 1 because it is legendary. What's great about Tinybones in this deck, not only does it get the synergy with your Skeleton Tribal, with Corpses of the Lost, get the buff, get haste, and all that good stuff, but because it has an ability that triggers when it deals damage to the opponent, it also gets value off of the Steel Seraph. It's another thing that isn't a Caustic Bronco that we can give flying from the Steel Seraph to, and then make sure we get through and we can get value off of that. If they can't block it because it has flying, now we can make sure we hit them, play something from their graveyard, get extra card advantage, and that could be really good. So the fact that this gets all of the payoffs for Skeleton Tribal while also getting, you know, being another thing that can get paid off with Steel Seraph, just helps all of the cross-pollination of the synergies, and just helps the deck be good, even if things don't line up perfectly the way you want them to. Moving on to the 2-drop slot, we already talked about the Bronco and the Case of the Stash Skeleton. We've also got 4 Deep-Cavern Bats, because it's just too good to not run. It is the perfect other 2-drop to run in this scenario, even though it doesn't have a ton of synergy with everything else in the deck. It's probably the one card that really doesn't. It's just going to get rid of their removal that they might want to use on our Caustic Bronco. It's also going to be something that can just swing in, gain us a little bit of life against aggro, and just get in for damage in the air and not be blocked, which is really, really nice. Moving on to our 3-drop slots, in addition to the 4 Corpses of the Lost and the 4 Steel Seraphs, we've got 1 𝐺𝑒𝐿𝑒 Yawgmoth Praetor. This lines up really well with either Case of the Stash Skeleton or Deep-Cavern Bat, because we can draw extra cards off those hitting, and most of the times they're not going to have 2 blockers out for that skeleton token the first time it swings. So we'll be able to at least draw 1 card off of 𝐺𝑒𝐿e's, and then if they want to stop the card draw, they've got to double block the skeleton and probably trade one of their creatures for it, and then the skeleton's dead and we get our tutor online. So it's kind of a, you know, win-win scenario for us. So 𝐺𝑒𝐿e's is great. Also a 3-power creature on 3 that can saddle the Bronco, which is really, really important. You'll notice all of our 3-drops can do that because that's a really important play line. And then we've just got 1 Path of Peril, because we have so many ways to tutor up cards, and sometimes we get caught in a situation where we just need to wipe the board, especially when we're against aggro and they have a bunch of really small creatures out, Boros Convoke or whatever the case may be. We can just play Path of Peril for 3 mana. Because we have the 3 mana version as an option here, sometimes we can be in a situation where it's like turn 5 and we can sack a Case of the Stash Skeleton for 2 mana to fetch a Path of Peril and still have enough mana left over to immediately play it. And that's why I think Path of Peril makes the cut here over other board sweepers, because there are play lines in which you can do that and still wipe the board early enough in the game where it matters, and it's going to save you from a loss, while still having the option to cleave it if you absolutely need to wipe the whole board and just like tutor this up the turn before. So I think it does everything we want to do, and because there's so many tutors in this deck, we absolutely need to have just 1 silver bullet target to search for as a panic button in case things go squirrely. But yeah, the deck is kind of bananas. We do need to run a lot of dual lands just to make sure that we always have the black mana we need for Insatiable Avarice, which sometimes we just need to draw 3 cards on turn 3 for 3 black mana, so we need a lot of black mana. But we also need the potential to play Steel Seraph on turn 3, which requires 2 of our 3 lands to be white. So we're going to have lots of duels to make this deck consistent, and we do. We have 4 Shattered Sanctums, 4 Caves of Koilos, 2 Concealed Courtyards, just 1 Restless Fortress, because once we get 1 into play, we don't really need any more, but it's still nice to have the option of having that manland. We're running 4 Shadowy Backstreet, and there's a good reason for that I'll get to in just a minute. 1 Mirrex, 1 Takenuma, 1 Eiganjo, 6 Swamp. Now, the Backstreet is important because it lets us surveil 1. And that's important because Corpses of the Lost can come back to our hand anytime we descend. So, we can force a descend just by playing a land to make sure we get our Corpses of the Lost back so that we can recast it and get another skeleton, which can sometimes be insane. Another reason why Corpses of the Lost work so well in this deck, and skeletons in general, is because there are so many cards that just have targets on their back. Your opponent is going to be constantly trying to remove your Deep-Cavern Bats, your Tinybones, your Skrelv, your Caustic Bronco, your Sheoldreds, your Steel Seraphs. Like, all of the creatures in this deck are absolute must-answer threats, and every time they kill one of those relevant creatures, you can just return Corpse of the Lost to your hand and then replay it. So eventually you can build up enough skeleton value to just overrun them with skeletons while they're trying to deal with their other stuff and wasting their removal on your other stuff. And it's just a really cool plan B and another way to win with the deck, built into still maximizing the combos of the deck. That's what I love about it. We can add in this element of skeleton tribal that can really push it as an aggro deck and really have an amazing plan B for when one of our combos doesn't come together, but it still keeps the chances of getting a combo off very, very high. It doesn't take away from that at all. It's not detrimental to the consistency of the combo, and I think that's what makes this version of the deck so appealing to me. I kind of love it. I think it's great. Anyway, I've rambled long enough, so I'm going to shut up and we're going to check out the games. Sure. Japan. Alright, might as well swing. We're not going to use it for protection this turn. We'll hold up the cut down. We might swing next turn too, just because it kicks. Nah, we'll just do this. End the turn. Put him at 16. See what he's got. It's kind of a mirror match, but not really.
This is my home, and
Do
I
it.
don't appreciate it when people touch my
Sure.
things.
Goodbye, Skrelv.
Haven't you ever heard of personal space?
Don't even care about Liliana right now. Literally don't. I think we dump the cut down. So we can slam Gix, swing, draw cards, draw into a land, play Caustic Bronco. That's my thought. But we'll wait and see what he plays. We will wait and see what he plays. Braids. And a Hopeless Nightmare. Well, cut down's definitely gone.
We all
Bronco,
have things we
goodbye.
value.
Go ahead and draw a card. Do it. Do it. Do it, old maid. Actually. Oh, we're 1 mana away. Because we have the Mirex and the Aganjo at the same time. The only 2 lands in the whole deck that don't make black. Because of that, we can't cast the Insatiable Avarice. That's hilarious. Do what you gotta do. Gonna trade for the skeleton. Take 4. Draw me a card. Looks good to me. Alright. Go to 3. Gonna have to get rid of the lily, make me sacrifice the 𝐺𝑒𝐿𝐵𝒄𝒄𝒄.
The others can deal with you. Off you go.
𝐸𝒄𝒄𝒄. Well, that's game then. Even without the black mana. Good night. I can't believe we got the 𝐸𝒄𝒄𝒄 and the 𝐸𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒄 at the same time. We'll try to keep this. But only show the first game. I mean, I could, but... Alright, we're gonna start with the Backstreet. Backstreet's back, alright. Dump the cut down. What's cool about this deck is it can do the typical Bronco things, but it can also just do like Skeleton Tribal and be really good at it. And I think you're gonna get to see that this game. Well, there's the show off. What's more important, that we gain life? Or that we burn him down quick? Just go like this. We're only going to gain 2 life if we Seraph. 𝐺𝑒𝐿𝐵𝒄𝒄𝒄. We'll dump you. Play with fire. Alright. Sure. Well, now we get to solve the case of the stashed skeleton. Slick shot, 𝐺𝑒𝑡𝑠. Yeah. I don't think it's enough though. 10. You know what? He's just gonna give it trample anyway. Scuba Duba Steve. You guys ready for this? We're finding cut down. Lifelink. Swing. Cut you down. Cut you down. Uses that 10 life. And he's pretty much out of gas. If he can do 10 damage this turn, I will be amazed. Amazed. Lifelink. Go back up to 7. We even have a chump blocker. And Corpse of the Lost means we've got lethal next turn. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Yeah, we can keep this. This is definitely a skeleton aggro kind of hand, though. Alright, get through that land. That's probably a good thing. Meow Club. Warden of the Inner Sky. Sure. Dash Skeleton. Corpse of the Lost will let us swing for 6 next turn, which should be pretty wild. He's reading the card. What does this do? That was weird. I think it's safe to say we've won this game. He's just playing that deck way too slow. Way too slow. War leaders call. No blocks. Sure. Lifelink. Swing 5, gain 3 back up to 20. That's my dog snoring. He's a snorer. Right, Bandit? He is certainly. Opponent might be flooding. You might be right. You might be right. Alright, we're gonna go put you out of range of shenanigans. Oh, no, that didn't work. Flying. Hit you for 8. And then we're just going to hold up our cut down. And then we're going to have lethal next turn. Artifacts or creatures. Well, we'll just do that. Because we don't want him to be able to tap stuff in response and grow his dude. Backstreet's back. Alright. Oh, something's dead. Still not completely over. Goodbye. Case of the Gateway Express. We're gonna attack with these guys because we want them to die. See, now the question becomes, oh, well, I guess we have to wait for it to be solved anyway, right? Never mind. Shadow of Mortality. And solve our cases. We just have to hang on now. Novus Inspector. Take one from that. Sacking the clue. Alright, what do we find with the case? We just need to get in. We just need to get in. I mean, the fortress can drain for 2. The Deep-Cavern Bat can hit for 1. So we only need to do 2 more damage. He has to block there, and then he blocks there, and then he takes 4? It's not good enough, is it? That is just not good enough. What could we find in our deck? Oh, I know what we could find in our deck. I'm a dummy. Steel Seraph. Yeah, we give it flying, we swing over his head and we win. Alright, we'll keep this. Start with the swamp. Guess we probably should have started with the courtyard. I thought I grabbed the courtyard. Guess I didn't. Alright, we'll play the Bronco. Yeah, it's pretty bad, dollars. I just feel manipulated. I can't play this game without feeling manipulated. It's rough. Guess we just draw cards. Discard you. A Bronky. Hello? Interesting. Very interesting. So I still get my token, and I get a land. Seems pretty good. Topiary Stomper. See, we got the Bronco. Well, let's swing. Play the Bronco. I mean, I guess we just go for it, right? It's probably gonna Sunfall. But we still have so much value in our hand, it's whatever. And if he can't Sunfall, we can just win with the Bronco. Alright, so everything's gonna be tapped. We'll just take it. Because I think we just win. Right? 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yeah, we just win. We just win. See you later, buddy. Good night. Keep 7. No, their profits have been going down. Year over year, it looks like it's going up because the Lord of the Rings set did so well, but if you take the Lord of the Rings set out of the equation, their sets have been doing worse and worse. They make it look like everything's fine, but they also had to hamstring in Outlaws of Thunder Junction. They did a weird thing with Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Normally the set that releases in April is not supposed to count for the prior fiscal year, the prior quarter. But they did it in a way where the shipments, they made the shipments go out early so that it was shipped just barely before that quarter ended. And somehow that gave them a loophole so that they could count that set in the profits for that quarter and for that fiscal year. When every other year before, the April set had never been counted for that. It had always been in that next quarter, the start of the next fiscal year. So they were able to kind of like smooth over the edges and make it look like it wasn't as bad as it was. But if you take Lord of the Rings out of the equation, and you take the cheating that they did with Outlaws of Thunder Junction out of the equation, their numbers have been real bad. Alright, well, we're gonna do this. And we're gonna swing. Ow. And we're gonna do this. See what he's got. Coppercoat Vanguards, Adversary, Regal Bunnycorn. Let's take the Adversary. The Vanguards don't work well with the Bunnycorn, which is nice. Oh, baby. Let's go. Give me all the good stuff. Blocker, I draw more cards. Man, look at all those lands. Look at all those lands. Sure, we'll keep that. I think we're just winning next turn, though. Unless he top-decked removal. Well, I guess he has 𝐸𝑉𝐸𝑁. Well, it doesn't matter. He can't use 𝐸𝑉𝐸𝑁 until we already trigger the 15 damage. Yeah, that's it. Game over. Hold on. I actually have to do it like this, or else it won't stay on top. I'll end up drawing it. Goodbye. So it's worth noting you can't do both modes if you want to do the combo, because you'll put it on top and then draw it. You're supposed to be playing against people that are at the same rank as you. And if you have a better deck than them, then that should be a contributing factor to you ranking up higher than them. But no. They gotta screw you. There's no fucking way they stop at that either. There would be no reason to. If they have all the data in the world and they can manipulate the matchmaking, the shuffling, everything, why wouldn't they? No one's given me a good reason as to why they wouldn't. Companies are going to do whatever they can to make more money. That's just reality. Thinking that they wouldn't is naive. No, everywhere. Alright. Alright, 𝑠k𝑒𝑒𝑒𝑟𝑒. I mean, I don't think location has anything to do with anything. Deduce. Take damage. Oh, you lucky. You so lucky. Oh, I shouldn't have found it and put it on top. What am I doing? It doesn't matter. I'll just use Avarice the other way next turn to kill him. But still, shouldn't have done that. How bizarre. How bizarre. Welcome to the stream. That's a lot of mana. 7? Hey, we win. Would you look at that? Kaboomba. Good night. I will keep this. But for those of you who don't know, Brian Tinsman, who is a renowned R&D designer from Magic's past, worked on a bunch of sets, some of our favorite sets, Orange, he worked on. He left to start this card game. It just got Kickstarter funded. The Kickstarter just ended like 2 days ago. And it looks really good. It looks really awesome. Oh, mine? You guys want a playmat? I didn't even think about it, to be honest. Is there a merch store that lets you design your own playmats? Well, the key is I want to use one of the merch stores that you can embed on YouTube. And there's only 5 different ones you can choose from. And I doubt that those do playmats. I could do something separate from that as a different merch situation, but it's going to be a little convoluted if I do. I mean, if you could look into details for me, Striker, I'd be interested in it. Alright, let's see what we got here. Do we want to draw a card, or do we want another creature with haste? I think we want to draw a card. And then we can hold up cut down. That would be very cool, Striker. Alright, so Gix is toast, but he'll still take 3. We'll end the turn. We'll put corpses back into our hand because he killed the Gix. Graveyard Trespasser. Well, unfortunately, we can't cut that down. But he didn't trigger his roots because he got rid of one of ours. Which is kind of weird. It's kind of weird. Alright. We are getting in there, boys. Oh, he's going to trade. Cool. I'm down with that. I mean, I've got a ton of merch on the way. I've got coffee mugs, I've got shirts, stickers, trucker hat. I think I'm going to launch it when we hit 10K. Oh, baby. That's got menace, you goober. Go ahead and swing. Yes, one of them will die. I guess two of them will die. End the turn. Undead Butler. Alright, we definitely don't want to kill it right now because we don't want him to play another creature right now. Maybe we don't want to kill it all. Doggos. Lay down. Bo. Bo. Freaking dogs, man. Goodbye. Go ahead, destroy. Oh, you're gonna draw a card. Ballsy. That puts you in death range. I think you should have just destroyed my enchantment. We've got no 2-drop. I don't like that, but I mean, you can maybe surveil into one with the Backstreet. Backstreet's back, alright. Hopefully. Hopefully? Vadmir. Vadmir's kind of a dick. Just get rid of him. Let's just get rid of him while we can. Face down card. Oh, here we go. Would you like to trade, sir? You would not like to trade. What could this be? I do not know. I kinda want a Deep-Cavern Bat. Let's just Steel Seraph. Shooting the sheriff. Sure. Now we get to get our Corpses of the Lost back, which is key. Absolutely key. Still got to cut down in case he plays a creature. And he scoops. Alright, we're going to keep 7. Start with Backstreet. Backstreet's back. Alright. Guess we'll do that. That does help. I guess it's better than playing the Bronco too, right? Because he would have used the Homestead Courage on the Rot Priest and then been able to swing through the Bronco. So at least we make it so he can't use this stuff. He's gonna have to just hold on to the repulsive mutation, I think. We do get Path of Peril. Which is nice. I'm gonna try and do this now before he actually draws a way to stop me. If he puts a counter on the Rot Priest, then we end up having to pay 2, which we can. If he doesn't, we just use that mana to play like a Bronco or something. Alright, we're gonna Path of Peril. For sure. For sure. He's got block? Maybe we don't Path of Peril? No, we do. Because then he has to use up his helping hand. And we don't lose the creatures that are in our hand by playing them first. Later, Striker. Casey Jr. Sorcery, but he didn't play it. What the hell does he have in his hand? A counterspell? A Rot Priest. Didn't he play anything? I am the Confused. I am the so confusing. Do I want to draw cards? Guess we do this. And then we saddle. And then we do that. And take 15. And he eats the Bronco. And then we're gonna take a whole lot of poison. We're taking at least 3 poison. Maybe more depending on what he drew. But we might be able to just win next turn. Alright, going for it. Interesting. Just do that. Just make him lose life. Just make him lose life. What you got? What you got? What you got? Oh, you got something. And he dead. Wow, that was close. Thanks so much for checking out my channel. I'd like to give a huge shout out to all of my patrons over at Patreon. Without you guys, this channel would not be possible, so honestly, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of your contributions. If you haven't yet, like and subscribe. The more likes we get and the quicker we get them, the bigger this channel will grow and the faster it will grow. I'd love nothing more than this channel to become something very special for you guys, but it's entirely up to you how fast that happens. Also, if you'd like more deck text, that's somewhere over there. And if you'd like to see what else the channel's been up to lately, that's somewhere up that way. Also, subscribe, circle below, do all the things.